Hello, my little Lee Prow Milches, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. Joining me, General Dog, the Grumpy Moose, and anybody else who wants to come on here because this is an open forum. And the only thing that limits the conversations that we have is the sheer few numbers of viewers I actually have. So
the futility of it all. So,
well, and today is going to be a very interesting program because with all the hoopla, about who should the Browns select as their head coach, and
and I would like to say a word about the NFL draft. The two top quarterbacks in the draft supposedly are Fernando Mendoza of Indiana and Dante Moore at Oregon, and they're both playing each other tonight, and neither have declared for the NFL draft just yet.
Interesting. Wow. And Dante
imagine what a shit show it would be if neither declares for the draft.
Oh yeah, that's right. Then what will people be saying then? But the money is going to be too good for them to turn down. Dante Moore sounds too much like a canned beef stew. So right off the bat, I'm likely to say,
it sounds like a character from a Kevin Smith movie.
And Mendoza is kind of right on the line,
I think maybe one of the better things about the NIL thing in college football is that guys are not going to be as incentivized to come out in the draft as they would be in the past. They're already becoming millionaires.
Correct. Yeah,
I agree with that. It may depend on the circumstances they might expect to get in the draft versus what they're going to get, knowing they're going to stay in college. Does Dante Moore really want to go to the Jets?
Well, that's just it. I mean,
they could get more money at universities nowadays.
You can make all kinds of cases for the people who are, Aiden Durd from the which rhymes with turd. The Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator, he's interviewing with the Browns. You've got Dan Pitcher, the Bengals offensive coordinator. You probably didn't even know they had
heard
one.
Of him. I didn't think they even had one. Yeah,
but look, anybody can put their hat into the ring. I mean, there's always a chance that there is.
Dan Pitcher has the leg up because him and Stefanski have worked together. In addition to that, Dan Pitcher actually has a resume very similar to Stefanski's resume in that he has been in Cincinnati so long, he worked under Marvin Lewis.
God damn, that's a long time. Wow.
He's been in Cincinnati since 2016, if I remember right.
Okay, can I sort of jump the gun here and explain why John Harbaugh isn't coming to Cleveland? Because Jimmy Haslam doesn't want to hire anybody who's going to say no to him about something. That is why he's not coming. He's got a bigger ego than Haslam himself, so they're going to clash. Like John Dorsey even clashed.
Well, I wouldn't give him total control anyway. Nobody deserves that.
Well, and let me get into the meat of the program here. I wanted to start out the program quoting somebody who is an experienced coach in the sport of basketball, and his name is Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers has been around.
And he works for Haslam now.
The bottom line is some of the things that he says gives an insight as to what it is to be a head coach. Here's a few of his quotes, and I won't belabor you with all 48 of them.
Belabor us.
Quote, everybody likes each other until things get tough. Then you'll find out what kind of team you have, and I understand that as much as anyone. 2, I'm not going to coach you to who you are. I'm going to coach you to who you should be someday. 3, this is why coaches are crazy, because they have to be. To be a good coach, you have to get your players to believe that you can win the next game. 4, as a coach, you've got to do what's best for the team. If guys don't like it, they're going to leave. If they stay and don't like it, well, your team's going to suck anyway. Even if this happens, you still have to do it. You can't coach worrying about any single individual. 5, you're always growing as a coach, and I'm not done growing, and hopefully I'm not done winning. 6, good players want to be coached. Great players want to be told the truth. 7, I don't think you can ever stop growing as a coach or as a person. It's a fact. If we're going to win, you just can't keep doing what you've always done and think you're going to get different results. You have to do something different. And I'll stop it there.
Fair enough.
All right. And one of the things that bothers me about what people are saying and what the fans are thinking and all of that kind of things. What bothers me specifically is the people there who are getting the most hits in podcasts. They are company owned and they are 20 to 30 years old and they've never built anything with their two hands themselves. Never. They've never done the mental gymnastics of putting an important enterprise together. They have no idea what it personally requires to be able to do it. And I will start with the experience that I have, and I'm not running for political office, God damn it. But what I can say is the person who is at the top has to be absolutely dedicated to the project at hand. That means it's the football team, not a motherfucking dome. And nobody is going to have the courage online to say the shit that I say because they're being paid by the Cleveland Browns organization to say what they're saying. That's the bottom line. It's the product. And you got to be tunnel visioned about it. If you're worried about what your dome you're going to play in 9 years from now, your head's up your ass. You don't know what you're doing now, and it shows itself with every decision that comes out of your organization. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if you're going to build a successful enterprise, you have to start with open, fair communication. If you come in and you're the big man on campus and you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and fuck you, you've been doing it wrong all along. Look, when I bought radio stations, I knew that they weren't doing it right or else they wouldn't have sold them to me. I was a bottom feeder. I was not a guy who could afford gazillions of dollars when I first started buying radio stations. Hell no. So I would find underperforming assets and get them to perform better. So the whole notion of, I'm coming in and you're going to do this and you're going to do this, it was like the shortest poem that Muhammad Ali ever wrote. It went something like this: me, we. And that was the poem. There is no distinction between me and we. When you're in together on something, you're in together on something. Talk to any person who worked with me over the course of my broadcasting career, and they will tell you that I was open to all kinds of ideas. And the other thing, Jimmy Haslam couldn't possibly know who the best head coach candidate is. He couldn't possibly know that. He hasn't known it yet. So just shut the fuck up about Jimmy Haslam. He doesn't know. He's hired a bunch of bozos in succession because he doesn't know. And when you don't know something, you delegate it to people who do. What I knew about was I understood the psychology of selling radio advertising. But I brought in programming people who were bright. For people who listen to this program over the course of decades, you might remember Leroy, who I called Schmeroy. And Leroy was
a legend and had a fantastic voice before his illness.
Yes. And after his illness, I brought him back on the air because I wanted him to be able because he had a brain bleed, and to re-get some of his ability to speak clearly. My point with Leroy, I brought him from Spokane, Washington, where he was working with a 3,000 watt top 40 radio station. We both talked together when I was managing a property in Spokane, Washington, and we dreamed about a day where we would be able to create a top 40 CHR format that people would really enjoy listening to, when we were going to break rules doing it. And when we got together, that's what we did. And we had assistant program directors. We talked to record label people who would sell you their mothers. We talked to people who were independent promoters. We talked to people about every single song we put on the radio station. We had the best production team that you could imagine. We used Charlie Van Dyke. If you want to look him up, look him up. He wasn't doing anything for radio stations in market size 125 in America to do voiceovers. He turned out to be the de facto national booth announcer for almost every news broadcast that you would hear. And now it's time for TV5 Eyewitness News. That voice that you would hear going into the news was Charlie Van Dyke.
Wow.
We utilized people who are a whole lot better than me and a whole lot smarter at what they did. And you put it together like a beautiful stew, and it just cooks, man. It just cooks. Now, the bottom line is this. If you don't know who to hire, you better hire somebody who knows who to hire. You got to be able to trust your advisors. I don't think Jimmy Haslam trusts anybody, because Jimmy Haslam is a dishonest businessman. But we're going to take all that aside, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the different people who were being interviewed. Why?
Well, I do know Andrew Berry has brought in a couple of former general managers to speak about the coaching search process. So we know that Andrew Berry is, this time around, is heavily involved in the coaching process. Unlike last time, right, where it was getting the cart before the donkey. I mean, they hired him in reverse order. So they hired Stefanski first, and then they hired Andrew Berry after that. This time around, it's actually going to be in a traditional order.
Now, anyone can interview for this, basically. Well, not anyone. I mean, little Timmy Bartholow couldn't, or but they have a reason why they, for example, if they decided that they wanted to move Jim Schwartz to the head coaching position, which I would not advise that. But if that's what they did, they'd need a defensive coordinator. And that's why a guy like Aiden Durd, who is in Seattle, was the defensive coordinator in Seattle, put up some good numbers there. That's why he's being interviewed for the head coach position in his wildest dreams. I mean, it's kind of like if you buy a lottery ticket, if you're willing to pay the price for the ticket, it's always a chance you could win. But what he's really doing is he is interviewing with the Cleveland Browns organization. And believe me, Aiden would not say no if there was a qualified head coach coming in. And if it was Jim Schwartz and Jim didn't have time to do the defense anymore, they might be looking for somebody who would replace Schwartz if Schwartz ascended. Or in the case that Jim Schwartz didn't get the head coaching job and got pissed, then we would need somebody who understood how to run a good defense and how to improve that, if at all possible.
As I understand it, in order to get a coach who is currently under contract, it has to be a promotion.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I think every rule that there is was designed to be broken. I mean, quite honestly, I don't believe in anything that the NFL says. Well, and then it's just like watching college football now. and watching collegiate teams trying to bring basketball players who are actually in the NBA to their universities. I mean, well, it doesn't say anything right here. I mean, and they're getting shot down. People will always take shortcuts. Besides him, you got the amazing Bengals offensive coordinator, Dan Pitcher. People are like, why?
Because he has familiarity with Andrew Berry. That's pretty much the reason why.
Yep, that's the connection. And then there's the other thing, which is Tommy Rees, who's going to be interviewing for the Browns head coaching position at 33, right? At 33 years of age. He is currently the offensive coordinator. And if he's interested in this job, he's talking to others about being a head coach in the NFL too. And
Andrew Berry was the youngest general manager hired in the history of the league.
Right. I mean, anything is possible. So you're interviewing in case your offensive coordinator bugs out. Or if the new head coach just says, I'm cleaning house and I don't, I don't want this wide receivers coach anymore. Make him go away, please. And please make the wide receivers go away with him. And then, of course, the big name, John Harbaugh, who he's named his price. General Dog, why don't you, in case people haven't read it, go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, so he wants $20 million a season. He wants a $10 million staff budget. He wants complete control over the roster, and he wants to hire his own general manager.
I don't think Andrew Berry's going to like that.
Yeah, I just don't think that they're going to upset the structure in the building for, any singular coach. And Harbaugh does not have a resume that suggests he's able to make personnel decisions. We've seen coaches do that before, and they flamed out spectacularly.
I mean, that's kind of like a guy saying, all right, you want to interview me for the head coaching position. Here's what I want. And then it ends up, I want to have sex with your wife, Jimmy. I want to be able to have cocaine parties where hookers are brought in. I mean, you can guarantee that the Cleveland Browns won't talk to you or won't hire you if the demands are absolutely ridiculous. I don't think John Harbaugh wants to come to Cleveland. Let's be honest. He's 63 years old. He can't afford to fail because the last thing, people say, well, he won a Super Bowl. He did. But the other thing that isn't so good is that was a while ago, and we've watched him waste Lamar Jackson, literally waste the time, the 7 years, 8 years that he's been playing, and his best years behind him, he's let that turn into seemingly what Lamar wanted more than what the team needed. And and this is correct. He's not going to, he might get it from somebody who's absolutely desperate. And I always say, my father had a saying, God bless him, that the Pope can sue for bastardly. That was his quote. And anyone can ask for anything now. I mean, if you're not really, you could just blow off whoever you were supposed to talk to because they couldn't come up with it. It's no different than if you're selling a house. If you're selling a house for $500,000 and somebody comes in and says, I'll give you $300,000, it's like, get the fuck out of here. You're not going to talk to that person.
I'll tell you what I don't want. I do not want to win with anybody else's coach, not the Ravens ex-coach, not a Steelers ex-coach, not a Raiders ex-coach, not a Ravens ex-coach, nobody. I don't want to win with a retread, period.
You and I think very similarly. And, the whole point of this program is to say, what is it that makes a good head coach? And there is passion involved. There is communication skills involved. Mm-hmm. athletes are difficult. It was like we started the show with Doc Rivers saying, if they're not happy, then they're not happy. They're not going to play well. But if you continue to play them and they're not happy, you're out there to win. You're either out there to win or you're not going to play for me, because my job is to win. And you don't have to have like an axe and go running through your locker room with an axe. But at the same time, you got to be strong and you've got to be able to communicate. The problem that I see with Kevin Stefanski, everyone has to have seen the piece of video when Kevin, after the last victory against the Bengals, was saying, and I never lie to you. And then the camera catches Myles Garrett giving this like, say what? Look, yeah.
That was the best ever side I've seen in my life. It was hilarious.
And, he didn't know that he was being photographed and being taped. He didn't know that recorded. But in one look, it said, the guy who's talking here, Stefanski's full of shit. Absolutely full of shit. He left Shedeur Sanders out to fry, and he gave Dylan Gabriel every opportunity. And, he was going to do what he was going to do. It literally, you have to pry the play calling from his cold, dead hands. Yes. Charlton
Heston. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, that's not what you need. You need open-minded people. If what you're doing isn't working, you can't keep repeating the same horse shit over and over again.
I asked you guys before in the show, how did Stefanski look at Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel in OTAs and training camp practices? And then come away thinking that Dylan Gabriel was the starter over Sanders. How did you do that?
Based upon what he wanted, which was complete control over the player and who would just do the 4-yard pass thing to tight ends.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't looking for the most talented quarterback. He was, looking for the guy who was at his beck and call.
Yeah, he wanted a yes man at quarterback.
Yeah, and that's what he got. And look, Dylan Gabriel, went to many schools, and he had many different experiences at different programs. I never saw anything in him that would have made me believe that he should have been a 3rd-round selection, and neither did anybody else.
Yeah.
And which really makes you wonder, because with quarterbacks, if there was somebody who was really worth something, you think they jump on it. Now, Shedeur, that reeked of,
corruption.
Dion should have kept his mouth shut. Second, he said, if it's a weaker team and it's a place we don't want to be, we're not going there. And Shadeur's like, say what? I want to be a quarterback. I got to play, So they punished him. So the son was responsible for the sins of the father. And then, of course, when Dylan Gabriel began the season with every rep that he could get his hands on in the preseason and then when Flacco was traded away afterwards, he had every opportunity to prove who he was, and he had all access to all the plays, knew the personnel he was playing with, and that's the best he could do.
Okay, can I make a point here quickly?
Sure.
During the season, when Gabriel got concussed, that's when he stopped being the starter. I mean, if Gabriel had gone through uninjured during these games, he would have still been playing last week.
You just don't know that, but yeah, I mean,
I'm certain of that. No one knows anything 100%, but he would have still been the starter.
I think the thing that really, I watched Stefanski through over time when he started out, and he did well in the beginning, and as he continued onward, the moment that I knew that he was going to get fired was, when he decided, if they came back and they scored in a game, that he was going to go for the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
And it was like, I knew a minute and a half, I knew a minute and a half before. Yeah, of course. I thought that out, and you thought it out. I mean,
2-point conversion with Judkins at the Wildcat. Yeah, that was a great plan.
And in a play that they probably practiced
once, maybe.
Yeah, a long time ago, and he puts that on the field because he is not only overthinking things, he's a control freak. And today's athlete, you're not going to get anywhere with the control freak thing. Why do you think that John Harbaugh was let go?
He got stale. His best before date had been passed.
You got a 28-year-old quarterback who was hailed when he came to the team.
He was going to be a billionaire. He was going to be a billionaire, wasn't he?
2018, and he didn't really play that much because Flacco was still playing in Baltimore, but came out with 36 touchdowns and 7 picks, I think, for the next season. And he was, big swinging dick, You don't really think that he was thrilled that all he ever got to do was throw to tight ends. And, it'll tell you everything you need to know when a team, starts calling out, like in Pittsburgh, move. I mean, like, if the guy you're going nuts about is a fucking moving van tight end, I mean, you got problems on your hand.
Move.
And they wasted all that mobility that, Lamar could move around anybody. Now, I never thought that he was a great thrower, but his legs opened receivers up.
Yeah, it made plays because they came back for the ball.
The defensive men had to honor the fact that, he was an open field runner like Saquon Barkley before his knee injury. If he got in the open field, bye-bye.
Yeah, you're caught in two places. Do you stick with your man or do you try to tackle Lamar Jackson? If you make one or the other, it's the classic option play,
But Harbaugh, I think that, again, there was a formula. That formula,
been figured out. The league has figured him out too.
Well, that and the fact that there is a lot of different ways of accomplishing things if you have a mind that is nimble. But if you're tunnel visioned, there's only one way to do this.
Yeah, and as you get older, it gets worse. So if you're in your 60s, you're not going to change very much, even if you want to.
Now, in Flint, Michigan, where I owned a radio station, the core of the city, the inner core of the actual Flint limits, was 48% African American. Right?
Sure.
And that affected the tastes of music within the white community, the Caucasian community. And we said, if you're not playing rap music in New Jack Swing and all the music that was popular back in 1989, 1990, 1991, if you weren't playing that, you were not going to appeal to young listeners. That was the conclusion that we came to when we went to Binghamton, New York. Binghamton, New York had a higher Asian population than African-American population.
Yeah, there's probably like one African-American guy in upstate New York.
Yeah.
5 Asian guys.
So we were white, bright, and polite. We weren't, playing cop killer as an oldie in rotation in Binghamton, New York. But you got to have the sense to be moldable and not say, we do this one way.
Yeah,
and it has to be the same way.
In Flint. It's going to work great in this community.
Doesn't work that way. You have to be at least blessed with the ability to listen to other people. And that's where Kevin Stefanski failed.
Oh, and the thing with remember the index card post-game show where he's reading off these really dry statistics that really only meant anything to him, and not to any of the players. And he was like giving out game balls.
Yeah. He was bathing in himself.
It was like everybody was like, "Can we go have our shower now and go home?
Yeah,
you're wasting our time.
We stink almost as much as you do. Shut the fuck up." And
like,
I did this and I did that. It's like, oh God. Then we'll put you up on Mount Rushmore, but you've got to be dead first, okay? Now shut up.
Yeah.
Now, I looked at Mike McDaniel because there's people going, Mike McDaniel might be the guy. Here are everyone's perceived weaknesses about that coach based on his history. Poor in-game adjustments, difficulty winning against top winning teams, insufficient development in critical situations, especially with quarterbacks. I mean, this would be the absolute worst hire. Over-reliance on specific schemes like screen passes when facing adversity and struggles with establishing a consistent, powerful running game. I mean, this is all the kind of stuff that you can't have in Cleveland. Mike McDaniel, as a head coach, no, he lost his team. He lost everything.
He totally lost his team.
And as an offensive coordinator, he was a bright bulb at one time, but not anymore. So,
Did General Dog kind of drop off the face of the earth, I think?
Well, oh no, I have to add him to the stage. He came back. Hi. Okay. Sorry about that, General Dog.
No big deal.
Nice to see you back.
My internet connection crapped out. Sorry. But yeah, Mike McDaniel, just no. Look at him change over the last 4 years. He looks like a heroin addict.
He looks like
homeless
before and after, like the meth guy.
Yeah, he's homeless.
He was like 1985 before crack cocaine, 1995 after crack cocaine.
Yeah,
he looks like.
Now, here's another thing that the media will get you looking at things in an absolutely stupid way. All right, this article has to be one of the dumbest things, and the guy who wrote it doubles as the movie theater critic. So, I mean, I don't really think that we should even pay much attention to it. How Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders compare to the rookie years of 5 Pro Bowl quarterbacks.
Oh, what?
Now listen to this, though.
Did AI write?
Well, compared to Peyton Manning, they do pretty well.
Well, look. The ones they chose: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. I just decided to look these things up, and
wow,
because I have no, because I research things, and that's part of the reasons why decision making was never a problem for me. If you looked at Joe Burrow, for example. Burrow played 10 games in his rookie year. All right. And he completed 65% of his passes. And this is a guy who was looked upon as a surefire NFL quarterback.
The gold standard of draft picks.
Yes. He averaged 6.7 yards per, and he threw 13 touchdowns with 5 interceptions. But he was sacked 32 times.
Yeah.
All right. So what I remember about Joe Burrow is that he really had a tremendous amount of promise, but he was playing with a funky organization that always has a way of screwing things up. He had a good arm. He was an accurate thrower. He held onto the ball too long. Now, that single sin has cost him in so many ways with his health.
Right.
And that's the reason why, if you're worried about Shedeur, that's probably the biggest thing you got to worry about. Because if he holds onto the ball too long in this league, he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt, and that will be a very short career indeed. So he was the best in one regard coming out into the draft. All right. Then it was like, all right, let's take a look at Josh Allen. In his rookie year, he completed 52% of his passes.
Yeah.
And that was not unusual because when he played wherever he played, at Wyoming.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he wasn't a completion guy.
No, he could throw ropes, but he wasn't a real accurate guy.
He was like who is that guy we had with Romeo? Derek Anderson.
Yes.
He was Derek Anderson,
except with a bigger body
and more brains.
Well, I mean, we could argue that. As far as yards per game, 172. As far as yards, 6.5 average. He threw 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Does this sound familiar?
Josh Allen can read a defense better than Derek Anderson could. And I mean, Derek Anderson would stare at his primary receivers.
Right.
He was mesmerized.
He was not bright, I don't think.
And so I guess 10 TDs, 12 picks, 28 sacks. And I don't get into these rating numbers. I'm just comparing these stats like the article is asking me to do. Lamar Jackson, I can't really, his year was his second year. His rookie year, he sat most of the time behind Flacco. But the first full year that he played, he was fantastic. 66% of his passes completed, an average of 7.8 yards per. He was 36 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions.
Well, did he get an MVP that year or rookie? He must have got some award.
Some award. I mean, and 23 sacks and just at 113 rating. I mean, he would talk about the unexpected gold standard. It's like, wow. And he was a prototype guy. He was the kind of guy who was reinventing a position at the time.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we'd seen RG3 and we had seen other quarterbacks, right, who were, but this guy was crazy athletic, crazy fast, crazy. I mean, he had the moves.
He was a running back who could throw the ball.
Yeah. And he just had a stockpile of these skills.
He was like Jim Brown at quarterback. Yeah.
But we know the full story of what's happened with Lamar, and it didn't go the way that people thought. And, again, you Michael Vick out when that's when you're known for running the ball, you're going to get hit. And even if you're big, like Cam Newton was big, if you're a smaller guy like Michael Vick or like Lamar Jackson, you're really going to get hurt.
You're going to get killed.
And, it's so, I mean, and that's that. And
Rick May's been fired today, by the way.
Who?
Rick May is cooking today in the chat room. He's absolutely right there.
Yeah. McDaniel. His team wasn't wanting to play. So, yeah. I mean,
they got him fired, totally.
Yeah, he would be disqualified. It's like the first question, what in the hell happened in Miami?
No one should hire him as a head coach.
At this point, no, and he's going to let the stove simmer down heat-wise. So then there was Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence would probably be about the best example because he was going to an organization that was not the best organization in the world for sure in Jacksonville. He was a guy who had a huge national profile playing at Clemson, and he kind of looked like a football Fabio. So
he's a good-looking fella.
And no, but I mean, it never hurts to be somewhat telegenic. So this is the world of visual media.
I mean, he's got that Easter Island nose going on, but other than that,
yeah. So what did he do? I mean, he played all 17 games. He completed 59% of his passes, threw for 3,641 yards, but only a 6-yard average per pass, 12 TDs and 17 interceptions. He was sacked 32 times. That was his rookie year.
That's twice a game, people.
based on that rookie year. People say, oh, he's the next guy. Yeah. And I never saw it with him. I never felt that he was that guy.
Yeah.
And he hasn't turned out to be that guy. And I want to add at this point, there's nothing about Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders that makes me think that they're that guy. I got to be honest.
It's hard to imagine with this line and these receivers that any quarterback could be that guy.
Well, yeah, Tim Couch would fail here, with this team. What if he had had a good team to play on instead of the 1999 Browns? I don't know, man. It's just bullshit. Everything sucks. I'm grumpy.
But again, you've got to take a direction and take a stand. And whatever, I'm just saying, if it were me, this is what I would do. But somebody's going to go in and give the dog and pony show, and he's going to convince Jimmy Haslam and his general manager and anybody else who can listen. They might even long distance call Mr. DePodesta. Who knows who all will be in on this decision, and they'll hire whoever the hell they're going to hire. But the thing is that being a head coach was a lot different for Don Shula and Vince Lombardi.
Oh, God, yeah. They because bully people.
People, and again, if you're watching podcasters who are 20 to 30 years of age, they know nothing of this because they're the video generation. They're the generation of pay for garbage television. They're the people who are Johnny come latelys, and they don't have any backward compatibility. They just see what they see now, and they just react to whatever there is now.
Yeah, and there's a benefit to that in some ways because you're fresh, you're young, and you've got capabilities, but you've got to have that historical perspective too. I mean, you need everything. I mean, if you want to go back to a recent hire of an old school type coach, just look at the massive epic fail that Urban Meyer was in fucking Jacksonville. Urban Meyer had the same sort of way of bullying that he did at university, tried to bring that into the pros and got absolutely bitch slapped out of Jacksonville in less than a year.
Yes.
But had Urban Meyer gone to an NFL team in 1972, it might have been a fucking different fucking story.
Well, I mean, those coaches, they ruled with an iron fist.
Correct.
And the players weren't getting paid the kind of money.
They were doing summer jobs, putting up aluminum siding.
Yeah. It was a different time. But the rules all change when you have to coach a guy who is, and you can start with Michael Jordan. I mean, could you imagine if the Bulls would have, let Michael Jordan go, or, you just bow down to him. Same thing with LeBron James. LeBron James, he can take his talents anywhere the fuck he wants to because that's the way he's athletics are today.
And that's 15 years ago when that happened. Now, we're 15 years on from that shit.
And there are more new superstars, and it's so funny because LeBron always went to the best place. He went to Miami. He went to Los Angeles. He always went to places that had other talents that he would be able to add on to, and he could get championships. He was racing Michael Jordan for championships, and that's what it came down to. And I suppose there's nothing wrong with that. It upset the fan base, but that's, but now you have a guy like Trae Young who says, I want to get out of Atlanta. And he says, where I really want to go is Washington. And you realize that Trae Young just wants to shoot all the time. I mean, it's like, who wants to go to the Wizards and why?
He's like my least favorite NBA player. He's right up there at the top. You can hate Draymond Green and Kelly Olynyk, but being an annoying prick is Trae Young, man. Wow.
And the fact that Atlanta just moved away from him and got C.J. McCollum, who's 74 years old, and whoever else they got. I mean, it was like enough's enough because Trae Young's a little fragile thing, and the injuries are piling up for him anyway, and his shooting percentages went to hell in a handbasket. But the bottom line is, if you have a really, really good, a really good player, Lamar Jackson stays, John Harbaugh goes. That's the way it works. And
it didn't used to be that way.
No. But head coaches now, more than anything, have to be babysitters. They have to be able to listen to their players. And it's not just because they have a players association. It's because if they want to keep their jobs, they have to find a way to keep peace, which is going to allow me to segue into the Cleveland Cavaliers situation.
Oh, God.
Wasn't
that horrible?
Well, what's horrible is what we're seeing is what 1 year of success can do to spoil a team and how that ends up totally screwing everything up.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a superstar player like Donovan Mitchell, who's never won anything in his life because he only knows Utah and Cleveland. It's another thing to say, well, we're going to bring in Jared Allen, and that's the big guy we need, when he only played for the New Jersey Nets. All right? For the Brooklyn Nets. Wow. I mean, if you don't play in a place where you ever have expectations of winning, then when it comes down to that, it's the reason why Donovan goes into his one-man army routine in the fourth quarter of every motherfucking game. When he starts taking 40% of the shots and jacking them up in the fourth quarter because he wants to bring his team back, it's like, we got problems.
Okay, the other night against Indiana, when Donovan was rested, suddenly it was Darius Garland jacking it all up in the fourth quarter, getting 20, 25 points. And they came back and won.
But what does it tell you about the dynamic between...
They can't play in the court together. Garland's if you're gonna have Mitchell and Garland's got to come off the bench. You start Mitchell and Merrill, and then you have Garland. They cannot play together, these two.
Well, the reason they can't play together is they have a coach who can't communicate the problem to them. Doc Rivers said, if you tell them something and they don't want it, that's what they're going to get. And if they don't want to get it and you don't win, they got to go.
Correct.
And the problem is that Kenny Atkinson was a guy who had no expectations of winning when he was with the Nets. And all of a sudden, he had this incredible rise to success with the Cavaliers in one season.
Yeah.
And the expectations went through the roof.
Well, it's a bit like Stefanski's first year, too. I mean, he came in after
Freddie Kitchens. But the Browns were never that good.
The Browns were never, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, he had that rise to expectation. So he thought he was big shit on campus, getting a coach of the year. And then that last year was too successful for Atkinson and the Cavs until the obvious big come down against Indiana in 5 games. But
what's obvious to me about the Cavaliers is that players have stopped listening to the coach.
Yeah.
Right. And when you get to that point, and this would be the second coach that they've done it with, you have to start thinking there's problems with the players. And then when the coach starts diddling around with lineups, and you get the impression that he's exasperated. He doesn't know.
He's tinkering, like they say here in England.
Yes.
And that there's an English phrase that goes with that when you get a soccer coach that keeps changing his 11. They're called the tinker man, or they're tinkering. And the phrase is, he doesn't know his best team. He doesn't know what the best team is to put out there on the field or on the court or on the pitch.
And that is I mean, how do you start CPJ and say you're going to guard Edwards? That starting lineup fell behind by 15 points immediately. Yeah. And then he brings it out again in the third quarter, and it's like a 17-0 run against him. It's like, so now the players really do have something to complain about because the coach doesn't appear to know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, doesn't know his best team.
And he looks like he's not getting any sleep. He looks rumpled. He looks, confused.
He looks like McDaniel.
Yeah.
He's a 1995 crack addict now.
The first thing I would ask him is, are you okay? Because it's like, and the same thing happened to Ty Lue.
Yeah, Dan Gilbert ringing him up at 5 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, there comes a point where enough is enough. And
I saw a bit of the game last night, and Tony Cavs says the Wolves dominate. Well, it was a lot similar to the last Houston Cavs game where, just the bigger, better team just pushed the Cavs out of the way and won the game.
But you know what the sad thing is that even a team like Minnesota that is playing well together, if you looked at the difference between the teams, they were swinging the ball side to side, sharing the ball, and the Cavaliers were pound, 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 pound. All that magic from last year of touch passes, man, going bang, 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 like a pinball at a pinball machine, bang, 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 bang. That's missing. And it was the other team doing it. And when the Cavaliers picked up their intensity, like they always do in the fourth quarter, Minnesota damn near peed their pants.
Yep.
But because Minnesota isn't getting out of the West, let's be honest, they have a nice record, but they, they're 25-13, but they're not going to go to the next level.
Most of their guys are old. I mean, they got Edwards, but they got Randall and Gobert with his funky free throw shooting, and Jesus, I mean.
But the fact is that if you don't play 4 quarters of a game, and we keep saying that, and the reason is the coach is trying to figure it out, and the players just don't believe in what don't believe in what he's doing. And it looks like he doesn't know what he's doing because, as you put, he's tinkering. He just instead of being definitive and saying, "Okay, here's the deal, Lonzo Ball, you're not going to play again.
Fuck you, you're gone. You're horrible.
Yeah, we can't play you." Well, he sat him for a couple of games, and then there are 2 games where he comes in, and in the combined games, he's -28, and then he's gone again. But he'll show up again. He'll
show up in the next game, yeah.
It just, that's got to bring the heart of the team to a near stoppage.
And the thing is, Garland, he's looking like the black tie Jerome. I mean, he's like throwing up floaters. That's all he's doing. And he's doing the odd passes that if you superimpose Ty Jerome on Darius Garland this year, they'll look exactly the same.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Mitchell has to have the ball in his hands and Darius Garland has to have the ball in his hands. And the problem with that is Kenny Atkinson knows damn well you got to share the basketball. You've got to have a ball that has energy. And it's just going constantly around the perimeter, inside, outside, perimeter, all the way around. And it's like I said, like a pinball machine, so somebody can get an open look.
Well, the worst thing that can happen is that these fourth quarter comebacks, either led by Mitchell or Garland, just reinforce this idea that they can play shit basketball for 3.5 quarters and then suddenly turn it on for 2 minutes and win a game against crap teams. But when they play against men like the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Golden Gophers, they pee their pants in this shit.
Well, and the problem with the Cavaliers is that they're at the breaking point where they're a 500 team.
And they're going the wrong direction.
Well, the only question is, are they going to be slightly over or under? Slightly under 500? Will it be enough to even get into the playoffs?
Well, are there enough other bad teams in the NBA for them to beat in the fashion that they're winning games?
Yeah, but they're not going to be looked upon seriously in the playoffs. And why should they be? But Evan Mobley, the guy who they said, oh, this guy's going to be a superstar. Why did they do this to him? Why did they do this? Why did they say, well, we're going to take the offseason and suddenly this guy is going to become the ball handler from the Harlem Globetrotters.
He is no Curly Neal.
Curly Neal, right.
He's no Curly Neal. Look him up. If you don't know who Curly Neal is, there's got to be some YouTube videos. You'll be entertained. I was when I was a kid.
We have two big men who get stripped.
Oh, God. They get stripped more often than Jenna Jameson in 2002.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're putting Mobley into positions
where he's going to fail.
He just, and it was almost like they wanted to will him to be this superstar player, and it doesn't work that way. You have to put him in a position where he can do what he's capable of doing. Here's what needs to be done with Evan Mobley, and anybody who's smart can see this. He is a spot-up three-point shooter. But putting him on the perimeter makes no sense because the second he tries to drive, he gets stripped and he turns the ball over.
Yeah.
So what it means is you have to have an offensive design that gets him in traffic and has him run through the lane, but he can leak out to the perimeter so that when the pass goes into a Jared Allen, the ball could be thrown back out where he has an open, clear look and can put up a set shot from three-point land. The other thing that Evan has to do is, instead of this ridiculous, it looks like he's a fucking epileptic under the basket, go up and slam dunk
the arms 5 times and then wait for
fucking head and shoulders fakes. I mean, he doesn't have dandruff, but too much head and shoulders, dude. I mean, he's like,
it's either a jump ball or a strip down the other end and a dunk every fucking time. I can't watch these games. They're horrible.
When he catches the ball in the paint, he's got to shoot the fadeaway. Straight away. He should be looking at people like Siakam. Not that Siakam's but he's not the greatest player in the NBA. But if he gets the ball in the paint, he's going to go up and shoot that mid-ranger. That's what he has to do. And I don't know what is stopping. The offense isn't set up for it, and it's fucking everything up.
I'll tell you what, I would trade Mobley and Atkinson for Rick Carlisle and Siakam straight away. You'd make the Cavs a better team. You may not have better talent, but you'd make them a better team. Siakam kills the fuck out of us every time he plays.
And then the headline, Evan Mobley's disappearing act is becoming a ceiling problem for the Cavs. No. The ceiling problem is the scheme that allows him to handle the ball for no goddamn reason on the perimeter, misusing what the guy can do. Yeah. He was a great defensive player who was showing some blossoming offensive abilities. You got to put him in positions where he looks good, because they're putting him in positions to do things that he can't do them.
Yeah, he's looking bad now, and he's looking like a weak defensive player now too.
Well, his confidence is shot. He can't even make free throws, for Christ's sake. I mean, he's just flat. Everything coming out of his hands is flat, and there are rumblings that I've heard that that calf injury is still bothering him, and he's not getting his legs under the shots and this and that. But at what point it's physical or it becomes mental, God only knows.
Well, they need to. I mean, I read something on Bleacher Report saying the Cavs weren't going to do any trades, this month. But my God, they need to really shake things up. Otherwise, they're going straight into the lumber yard, as they say in Caddyshack.
well, and DeAndre Hunter looks like a guy who could be
he looks
so much more than what he is, but he's not playing defense, and that was what he was supposed to be good at when he came from Atlanta. But the more he started scoring in Atlanta, the less defense he played, and he was playing for a lousy organization that Trae Young didn't even want to stay at, and he wouldn't see the ball, and they promised him, oh, you're going to get lots of shots in Cleveland because our offense, we get tons of shots, and you are going to become a 3-point shooter, and you're going to get laid every night. And whatever they told him, and then it's like, well, I mean, we've thought about it because you were so good last year. Do you want to start this year? Do you think DeAndre Hunter is going to go, no, I don't want to start. I want to make bench jockey money the rest of my life. Give me a break. What's he going to say?
Right. Of course. The next game's again against the Minnesota Golden fucking Timberwolves tomorrow afternoon.
At 1 o'clock. What a time. 1 o'clock
on
in the afternoon.
Saturday. Who's gonna fucking even want to watch that?
That's the point.
And, but my point again is that I'm gonna bring this up again. I brought this up the other day. The Cavs record now against the spread is 11-23. So people are still thinking they're good and betting on them, and Vegas is putting them, overrating them, and why? It makes it's the Chewbacca defense. It makes no sense to me. This team is bad.
If a head coach came into me and said, I want control of this, I want control of this, I want control of this, I would hand them my penis and say, okay, why don't you try controlling this first?
Yep.
Because it's absolutely foolishness. The Browns are better off ignoring these veteran guys who were poisoned by their way of thinking, who think that once they become head coaches, they become Kevin Stefanski demigods. Hire somebody who's young and fresh, hungry. Enthusiastic and hungry. That's right. Because that's what it takes to turn things around. It takes it doesn't take like, oh, I have an Ivy League education. I was a college flunk out, man. I flunked out of school. But I loved the business so much, and I had enthusiasm, and that was more important. My love for what I did was way more important than having a degree.
Mike McCarthy or fucking Mike Holmgren or whatever, fucking Holmgren or McCarthy, or those ass clowns who are 90 years old.
Yeah. So that's that.
I'm grumpy as hell today, aren't I?
Well, you keep saying that, so I'll take your word for it.
Fucking pissed off.
Well, watching the Cavaliers is not going to put you in a good mood. I can tell you that.
But I'll tell you what, I was watching that. What I had on my big TV is the Zone shows all the college football for free.
Right.
And that game last night was fantastic. I wanted to make a point about Carson Beck, this guy who's like older than Brandon Whedon or has had 7 years of eligibility. Yep. Now, he must be a smart guy because A, he's gone to a program that he's like, B, they know how to handle him. He knows how to handle them. And he stays within his lane and he does what he can do. He probably realizes deep down that athletically, he does not have the talent to be a successful NFL quarterback. He could maybe be an NFL backup, being smart and sassy and all that. But that's why he's stuck around in school and he's getting NIL money and he's got a very real chance of winning the national championship in his home stadium. So,
yeah, I don't believe what Mary Kay Cabot says. I don't believe what sports boy Tony believes. I don't believe what Jimmy Watkins writes. I don't believe what Northeast Ohio journalists are saying. If, they have an opinion that one guy is great and the other is lousy, if Shedeur sucks, but Dylan is a possibility, if that is their point of view, that's fine. It's the point of view of somebody who's very young and very inexperienced. But I think it's smarter to say that the odds are predicated upon the top names that we talked about earlier in the program who were drafted way up high, that didn't guarantee a lot of those quarterbacks to get a Super Bowl, did it?
No, it still hasn't either.
Right. So That's what the fans all say. We want a Super Bowl. It's like, no, I want a team that wins. That anytime I turn on the game on a Sunday,
they have a fucking chance. And that's why I'm getting annoyed with the Cavs, because the Cavs look to me like they don't have a fucking chance to win unless they make some miracle fourth quarter shit comeback when the other team is half dead.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm interested in is watching a team play that is entertaining to watch, and at any given week can pull off a win. And maybe if they put a few back to back, they can get into
some momentum.
Just to get into the playoffs is a glorious thing, and that would solve all of the problems of these negative Nelly fans who are being swayed by 25-year-old disc jockeys.
They are literally 4 healthy, competent offensive linemen away from being a playoff team, plus a competent wide receiver. I firmly believe that. I think we're 5 guys away from being a playoff team.
The problem is the guys that we would be playing, they get hurt in week 3. All bets are off. At that point, you have no control over that.
Look at some of the teams that have fallen off a cliff, like the Lions and the Chiefs and all that. People got hurt, and they're playing their practice squad, and they suck.
I mean, do you really look forward during football season now to Cleveland Browns football?
I enjoyed the last 2 weeks immensely, and I did, but I didn't enjoy it. So I'm almost thinking that the team kind of knew Stefanski was going around Christmas time, and they picked it up, and they said, fuck it, we're not playing for him, we're playing for ourselves, and we're playing for our fans. And that's it, because I saw a different mood out of that team.
And that's the hope you have, that when they bring in a new guy can bring things together with the group.
Bring it together so that the team and the fans and the coach are all on the same fucking page. And fuck the owner, because he doesn't need to be even involved.
Even in the picture. He can be in the background. And again, as far as the Cavaliers are concerned, the fact that we do have some talent on the floor, but the coach looks addled. He looks like he's disengaged. He's playing 52 pickup, and he's the amazing Randy with palsy. He's
Uri Geller trying to bend spoons, and the spoons aren't bending.
Or he has palsy, and he's trying to do hand magic. He looks like a person who is guessing and becoming desperate in the process, and like he just doesn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. He doesn't have the answer. And the more this goes on, the more Dan Gilbert's just going to fire his ass, because
that might happen this year.
The players don't believe in him. I don't know why. I don't know why they're not listening, but when he keeps repeating things, and if you're watching his press conferences after the games, you got to start watching these things. He's like, they said, why would you put CPJ in a starting lineup to guard a guy who's 6'4", Anthony Edwards? Why would he be guarding Ant? And he goes, well, he's been a good defensive player. He goes, it's like, okay, so the first quarter comes and goes, and you're down immediately by 15 points, and you've got to do something coming out of the halftime, because you've come back in the second half, and you're going to have a good fourth quarter. You got to play a good third quarter, and you bring that same lineup back in after you saw the failure of it. So what is the reason for that? And the thing is, nobody's asking him that question. But I guarantee you that Dan Gilbert
is,
with his one good arm, is throwing things around the fucking room. I would be.
I am. I'm watching this shit at 3 a.m, so I get like extra agitated because I'm, whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Timberwolves lineup is fucking huge. I would give them my lunch money if they came up to me. I said, yeah, here, just don't hurt me.
My bodyguard. Yeah. I don't understand why he did what he did. And he tried to explain it, but it was like he was just muttering kind of under his breath, like, I can't believe this isn't working, And
well, if you followed the English Premier League or English football and you saw some of these interviews after games, you could tell the coaches that are competent and the ones that aren't. They stick out like a sore thumb.
Kenny's frazzled.
The same thing, yeah.
Kenny's frazzled. There's no doubt about it, and we're getting close. We're getting close because the players are coming undone.
Something big's going to happen, I think. I think Dan Gilbert's going to be he doesn't have to listen to this program, but he can't feel any more differently about it than we do. I mean,
the old Dan Gilbert would have fired this guy already because the players, here's the deal. You got to do one of two things. You either get rid of the players or you get rid of the coach. But the coach is more expendable. Because
it's easy if you get rid of the coach.
If you get rid of the players, you can't replace them.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't.
I know.
You're going to end up like the goddamn,
Pelicans or whoever.
Yes. You're just going to have nobodies. And it was so funny. Before I go off the air, the last thing I wanted to say was one of these 25-year-old hotshots doing podcasts says, this is the most disappointed I've been in the Cavaliers since 2006. It's like, where the fuck have you been? It's like 2006. That was, you're coming off the whole LeBron thing. And that was, I was so depressed. You didn't live to see John Warren put the ball in the wrong basket on a jump ball. Driving the basket.
Ricky Davis.
No, Ricky Davis.
What did he do?
He shot his own shot to get a rebound.
Right.
To get a triple double. But no, John Warren, they called him Wrong Way Warren in 1970, the first year of the Cavaliers, on a jump ball. He gets the ball and he goes in for the layup, wondering why nobody was guarding him. It was because the other,
2006 when the Cavs lost to the Spurs in the finals.
And Hammer time, that's exactly the next thing I was going to say. You're too young to know who Ted Stepien was. He was the one who wanted to turn racism into the basis of fielding an NBA team. Do you realize if Ted Stepien were running the NBA, there would never have been a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James? I mean,
or a Wembyana or anybody from France or fucking. There might have been Hans Wagner.
I mean, you weren't disappointed at the Cleveland Cavaliers when Luke Whitty was playing. You were up. You weren't upset or disappointed in the Cavaliers when Mike Fratello brought in an ancient Sean Kemp and they walked the ball up the floor and you'd fall asleep between possessions. I mean, you have no basis for having a fucking opinion. It's like so stupid.
Yeah, but the people they're talking to, the people that are listening to them, they don't know any better either. So that's how they get an audience. But you know that. I don't know. Hammer knows that. We all know that.
But I mean, the whole thing is most disappointed since 2006. It's like, wah, Ricky, wah. Shut up.
Oh, who didn't know that we were going to get swept by the Spurs in that series? I mean, who literally? I mean, that was the most predictable thing you could have seen.
Well, I'm not if you're just bula, somebody who just is cheering for cheering's sake, and you're not looking at things, properly.
That was a real team, that Spurs team.
And these are the same people who are on these friggin' podcasts who are like, fuck LeBron. He only cares about LeBron. It's the only fucking championship the city's had. I mean, I've been a sports fan for 50 goddamn years.
1964, not even the Cleveland fucking Barons won anything.
No. And so the one guy who brings you a championship, you piss on him. You piss on him. And that's the basis for your 25-year-old opinion. Fuck you. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning into this edition of Crotchety Old Men.
Yeah, everybody go fuck yourselves. All right.
Yeah, have a good... Bruce Drennan. Everybody have a good night and go fuck yourselves. Or at the end, exactly. At the end of the Rays game, and once again, the final score: the Rays lost 14-1. Good night, everybody, and go fuck yourselves. Oh my God. Everybody have a good night. Enjoy yourselves. And we'll be back again for a real meaningful program on Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Thanks, Rick, man. He was on fire today.